Today, I wanted to create a video that I feel doesn't get enough discussion. And it comes from a game that I once actually used to play every single day for way too long, and that game's Rust. So, before we jump into the main point on why you shouldn't bother playing Rust, I just want to provide a little bit of a backstory on myself. I started playing Rust in 2016 roughly, and I didn't really get involved with the game until around 2019, where I began pouring countless hours of my life into it. The game had pretty much become a part-time job for me, and I would stay up late into the night pushing towards a never-ending goal. Now, this kind of rinse and repeat formula, it instantly hooked me and many of my other friends. I mean, we would sometimes stay up until 6 a.m. in the morning without even realizing it. The game for me became an addiction, and I didn't realize it. And truth be told, I really only began taking notice once things in my personal life began falling apart. So I quit. But the story doesn't end there, because 3 years later, I would start the game up again, falling right back down where I was previously. To no surprise, I soon began putting way too much time into the game, which directly affected my job and my personal life. So I finally made the decision to quit the game for good. Now that we have that background knowledge, I want to quickly discuss the 3 points I found off-putting about Rust and why I believe some people should avoid this game. Okay, so point number one is satisfaction. In Rust, you are never going to feel ultimately satisfied. You will surely feel some sense of high when killing other players or successfully raiding a base, but it's only going to make you want more. Rust is a game that demands too much time, and that's why most people who I personally played with were either unemployed or teenagers who did not have any responsibilities. It's as simple as that, because most people don't have the time for this game, which leads me into my second negative point, which is toxicity. Rust is a toxic game. There's no debating that. Imagine you just spent 8 hours creating a base. It's late, so you get off to sleep. And guess what? When you wake up, your base is gone. Poof, vanished. How do you feel? Well, the obvious answer is you feel upset. And this kind of anger is ingrained in Rust. I have seen more toxicity and rage in Rust than any other game I've played. The only game that maybe comes close to this is Call of Duty Warzone, but that's still not even on par. Okay, so our last and final point is the big one, addiction. I believe addiction is the worst aspect of Rust. Rust is addicting, and for some people, that's totally okay. If you are capable of drawing a line and saying no more, then this can be a great game to play with friends. But if you have an addictive personality, like me, I highly recommend that you do something more productive with your time. Don't get me wrong, Rust is fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Rust is also not your average game. It demands continuous, non-stop dedication and time. In Rust, you don't really take breaks, as taking a break means potentially losing everything you've worked for. Rust is addictive because of this risk component. When you combine reward and risk, you create an endless loop. For example, in gambling, you risk your money for the reward of winning. That's what gives you that dopamine high. In Rust, you risk your time and effort for the reward of getting more loot. Except, in gambling, there is an end, which is when you lose all your money. But in Rust, there is no end. When you lose, it just means you're back to the start. It means you've got another 8 hours of farming resources to hopefully get back to where you were. Now, just for clarity, I am not saying Rust is worse than the gambling addiction. I believe they are both bad in their own rights. I'm just using gambling here as I believe it's a great way to help put addiction into perspective. And here we are. That's the end of my video. I know this topic is very subjective and some people might disagree with me. That's totally okay. I just want to hopefully shed some light on a topic that I feel often falls under the radar. Throughout my experience playing Rust, I've had numerous friends quit the game because it started affecting their personal life, and there was never any shame in that. Anyways, I just want to say a huge thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you like this sort of content, as it really helps the channel. And as always, I hope you have an awesome day. Bye. I get to with what though? Oh no, he died. Hey.
Oh, he died.